Today we're unpacking one of the hardest character deaths to watch in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Spoiler alert, we're here to break down Daredevil Season 1, Episode 12, try to cope with Wilson Fisk's strangling of Ben Urich. I want everybody to weigh in here, so throw your comments on YouTube. I gotta know, did you guys watch all of Ben's death, or did you guys have to turn away?
I watched it.
I watched it.
It was rough.
It was rough, man.
I was waiting for something to happen. I kind of figured he would die. I just didn't figure this season. I thought he would be a pivotal part, and then maybe season 2 he gets taken out or something like that. But yeah, so I was sitting there watching it like, okay, any second now, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Daredevil's gonna no.
Being that he's not in season 3, I already knew that he met his demise.
All right.
But I didn't know it was in season 1 either. I thought it was in season 2. But when they panned over and Kingpin is sitting there in the back in the dark, I went, oh no, not now, no.
He was such a good character, wasn't he?
He was a very good character.
And he's huge in the comics, so that's why I was so surprised that they killed him off. I mean, we had him for a whole season, but I mean, Ben Urich's a big deal, you know, and the actor was so great. I couldn't believe it either. And I watched it the year it came out, but then 10 years later, I watched this scene again, and I'm like, this is such a hard death to watch. Like a character that I can't imagine who would watch the show and not love Ben by now. But
Right.
man, yeah, it is hard. Do you feel like the show maybe did him dirty here? Or I don't know. I mean, to get killed the way he does, do you think the show did him wrong?
I think it was very important, though, because that's really when Fisk starts becoming Kingpin at that point. Like, you see that emotional breakdown he has where he's all nice and calm. And then as soon as it's like, but you brought my mother into this, and all of a sudden he turns into this like raging lunatic. And that's like, wow. Okay, we thought he was bad before, and now you're really, really... I mean, we saw him smash a dude's head with a car door, right? But he did it calmly. Like, now you see the rage coming out, and it's like... So I think that just sets it up for everything else that he's going to become.
Well, plus this is the first time he's murdered an innocent with his bare hands. He's always, he's killed some people, but they've been bad guys, evil, trying to hurt his wife or something like that. This is a case of an honest man, innocent, and he just straight up murders an innocent man. So yeah, this is kind of the turning point in that.
You're right. Like, even back to his childhood, his dad wasn't exactly innocent, you know? This really is the first time that he's done something like that. So this really is Kingpin's coming out party right here. You know, it was interesting. I don't remember what year Batman vs. Superman came out, but it was around this time. And I'm just contrasting the two reporters' deaths, because here we had 12 episodes to get to know Ben, and in Batman vs. Superman, at the very beginning, they killed a character called Jimmy Olsen. You almost don't even know that it's him. 5 minutes into the film, they shoot him in the head. And I was like, what? That was Jimmy Olsen? He's dead already? Like, it wasn't like that, but it still was.
I don't even remember that.
I don't either.
Yeah, you probably didn't even know it was Jimmy Olsen, but they were like, oh, we're going to shock you with this. Now, that kind of outraged people. Here, it's like, this was painful, but Ben did play a really important role in this season. I was like you guys. I thought if they kill him off, it's not going to be this season. I thought it would be. I mean, I thought you got to keep this character around. He's such a strong character. But the hardest part for me was that I feel like Kieran needed him. This show will address critical thinking and what kind of sources are valid. That's something that 10 years later, we're still struggling with. We're struggling to vet and test conspiracy theories to see if they're, if they pass the test or not, if they hold up. We struggle to do that as a society. And Karen was almost like the everyday person like us. And Ben would raise the bar for evidence. Like, don't put yourself in danger and don't come out with this evidence until you have airtight evidence, until you can prove whatever claim you're making. And I guess Karen's going to have to grow into the next Ben without him. But I was like, man, she still really needs him, She's still very emotional about this. And all of a sudden, her protector is basically taken away. So it does enhance the danger that maybe she might be in future episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely was a, I don't know if like role model's the right word, but her crutch.
Father figure.
Her father figure. Her go-to, because I mean, her other two friends are not even talking to each other. And that's all she had at that point. And it's gone now. She had a rough day.
Yeah.
She had a really rough day.
A real rough day.
Yeah.
This was a great conversation between Ben and Fisk, though. At one point, Fisk said, "You think anyone is going to believe rambling on the internet?" Because Ben's finally decided that he's not going to write this article in the newspaper. Of course, he was fired, and he had such a hard time embracing the idea of writing a blog because people might not take him seriously. So he finally gets to the place where he's going to sit down and do that. And he says, "People seek the truth wherever they can find it." I mean, this was written back in 2015, so 10 years later, this is something we're struggling with. Considering how people feel about the news right now in 2025, who's right? Do you think Ben or Fisk is right?
I go with Ben because you look at now, most people get their news from podcasts or online. Nobody's watching regular news stations anymore.
Do people even read newspapers anymore?
My parents do, but like younger people, I don't think they get there.
As soon as the boomers are gone, papers are.
Same with radio.
Yeah, pretty much. I think radio. I think there will always be a place for radio. Newspapers, no, because that's something physical.
Mm-hmm.
As much work that goes into a newspaper. You got, not even talking about making the paper, but you got to, print it. You got to write the news. You got to come up with interesting stories. You got to put them in. You got to have people edit it. You got to make the papers. You got to roll them up. You got to ship them to young kids, and then the young kids. And there's just so much money into that when, what we're doing right now is pretty much free.
Yeah.
It's costing us electricity and, what we bought our computers, but we had our computers before we started this. So, it's easy to pass news online, but you just unfortunately run into the same thing is, I'm going to start a news channel and I believe this. So I'm going to talk about this. And there's just, unfortunately, not too many places you can go to just get regular news. So I don't even know, he's partially right because most people do get their news from online, but at the same point, it's still kind of the tainted news no matter what side you go to. It's all going to be heavy to that side and that side only.
It really is kind of a tough time because there's like a race to post a story first nowadays. And I know of a lot of stories that were posted that were just flat out unconfirmed rumors that were never true.
Mm-hmm.
And then later,
that's been happening for a while. If you remember when Sandy Hook came out, throughout the day there were 3 different shooters. The news were like, it's this person. Oh no, it's not that person. We found him. He was at home sick. It was this person. This person didn't like his mom, so he went in to shoot his mom because she was a teacher. Oh no, that wasn't that person either. They just kept, because it's more important to be first than to be correct.
Yeah. They were trying to almost timestamp this episode, like bring what we were dealing with at the time into the show. And it's interesting that we're still going through it. Although it's more accepted now to be a blogger. Like you're taken more seriously than maybe in 2015. Because I do know, and in the time since this episode came out, a lot of newspapers have switched over to having podcasts and things like that, at least some of the ones that I follow. But, Fisk implies that people will not work hard enough to find the truth because they're too distracted. He says people are preoccupied with celebrity weddings and videos of cats. Now, I
That's
know the
true,
cat
too.
video is the origin of YouTube. I mean, that's part of how YouTube got really big when it was young. But I don't know what celebrity wedding they were referring to. Do you?
The Kardashians get married,
Who?
and it's on a TV
Oh,
show, and these people get married, and The
any kind of
Bachelor.
royalty, and it's like
Who
so and so got
cares?
married,
Yeah,
they got
maybe it
divorced
is.
3 days later, and it could be any wedding, it can be any celebrity thing whatsoever. This person didn't tip 25%, so now we all hate him.
It's on TMZ.
Yep.
TMZ.
More people watch that than most of the legacy news outlets combined.
That is a little disturbing. It's almost like a hype machine. What I did like about this episode and this season in general is they're basically asking the question of how do you properly test a conspiracy theory? And I thought that was an awesome thing to think about, and it's still relevant. The only thing that bothered me was they basically imply, well, Fisk won't get busted for any of this stuff. He'll just pay people off. And that is kind of like the blanket statement that people use these days to like validate a conspiracy theory. But it's like, well, wouldn't there be a money trail, or how many people are we talking about? Because some of these conspiracies, I mean, there's thousands of people you'd have to pay off. And I always think that one of those people would have come forward and been like, look, I cannot take this money and go with what's been going on. So the show brings up this awesome point, but then they kind of undercut themselves a little bit there with the whole like, they'll just pay everybody off. That is one thing that bothered me, because Ben, he would not probably go for that,
Well, that's great storytelling. You got Matt, you got Foggy, you got Karen, you got Ben, you got, Mahoney, you've got these good people in these certain places that, because they're there and because they're good, everything works out in the end. So
they're young in their detective skills. They're young.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But in real life, there's plenty of people who,
There is an awesome spiritual theme that I like in this episode. It might seem like a small thing, but it really stood out to me. So when Matt busts up Gao's heroin operation, this fire breaks out and there are blind workers in danger. And Daredevil takes down a gunman, and then he uses that gun to shoot the sprinklers. Then he turns to the gunman and he says, get these people to safety. Like, what a huge risk to turn around and give this gunman a chance like that. He could have just like killed Daredevil right there. But the guy actually does it. He turns around and he helps the blind people get out. I almost thought that was like a mini micro redemption arc. Why do you think he trusted this guy? Because he had to, or?
Yeah, he knew police would be on the way. He can't be on the ground when the police show up. I mean, he almost got caught. He got caught on the back anyhow. But, so it was just, he was the only one that was conscious. And I think at that point, if I walk into a room and I kick the crap out of 12 people and the one person stands up, I don't think he's going to come at me.
Right. Yeah, probably not.
So I think I could trust this person to at least say, no, I'm not going to help these people, and run away. But he's not going to do anything to me. So I think that's kind of what he was thinking with that. It's just like, get these people out of here. And at the same point, maybe this guy is like, well, I got to save these people so we can keep the operation going, not realizing that the cops were right around.
Plus their evidence, if they die in there and their bodies can be identified as not supposed to be there, blind, making heroin.
I mean, they got caught anyhow, but
but
it's one of those things where this guy's like, well, maybe I can salvage something and, make some money out. Nope. They're already here. Oh, well.
His confrontation with Gao was nuts too, because for Gao to say, hey, you took away these people's future and hope. Like, we gave them something to believe in by employing them for this heroin operation.
And they blind themselves.
It was a very interesting but like distorted view of faith.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that's really interesting, because they keep testing us throughout this series with like these kind of gray scenarios, and even Daredevil's struggling with his own darkness. That was a really interesting perspective to bring in.
Well, the thing with Gao, though, is that whole blindness thing and all that, that is her storyline, which actually is told, I think, in Echo? No, not Echo. Iron Fist. She shows up, I guess, apparently in Iron Fist. And she's obviously not human.
Really?
Well, she said she comes from somewhere further away than China.
Yeah. From what I found, I can't remember the name of the character, but she's some kind of immortal, basically.
Well, now that Ben's gone, I am a little bummed. The show's going to have to work hard to make other characters shine, so I don't feel like there's a hole, right? But I am interested to see how Matt reacts to this and Karen, and how it affects the big confrontation that we all know is coming between Daredevil and Fisk. So, guys, we will be back with the season finale soon. So hit subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.